A week before the wedding, my fiancé of 7 years fell from a mountain while hiking and became a vegetable. My heart was twisted in agony, but I forced myself to comfort his family, postpone the wedding indefinitely, and stay by his side day and night, caring for him, just hoping he would wake up. Countless times when I felt I couldn't go on, I would look at his familiar sleeping face and silently swear in my heart. As long as there was even a 1 in 10,000 chance, no matter how hard it was, I would wait until the day he woke up. After a full month of caring for him day and night, I finally collapsed and fainted. The moment I woke up in the hospital, I insisted on being discharged and going home against the doctor's advice, because I was worried about him. But right outside the room door, I saw my fiancé, who was supposed to be a vegetable, sleeping with the home health aide. "Dave, be gentle. What if Sarah comes back? It wouldn't be good if she heard us." The man's movements didn't stop for a second. "Don't worry, she's an idiot. We've been together every night for a whole month and she never noticed. Don't worry, she won't find out. Michelle, my Michelle." I struggled to control the trembling in my body and sent a message to Grandpa George. "Grandpa, David and I broke up. I'm going to marry David's brother, Robert." After sending the message, I remained standing outside the room, staring blankly at the scene of debauchery inside. The sordid sounds of the man and woman echoed through the large house, and even the air was tainted with desire. The man's voice was hoarse with lust. "You little vixen. If you didn't love the thrill so much, why would I pretend to be a vegetable and sneak around with you right under her nose? Giving Sarah sleeping pills every night, you're really something." My heart sank. Michelle was David's private doctor. After David's accident, Michelle moved into the house specific ally to teach me how to care for a vegetable. Ever since David became a vegetable, I had slept very deeply every night. I thought it was because I was exhausted from caring for him, but it turned out Michelle had been secretly adding sleeping pills to my food. Michelle's voice was so seductive it would melt bones. "Clearly, this rotten idea came from you because you didn't want to marry her. Don't push everything onto me. I'm not taking the blame for this." My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a large hand, and pain instantly spread through my limbs, making it almost impossible to breathe. I couldn't listen anymore. I stumbled back to the bedroom and fell to my knees, collapsing onto the floor. Grandpa George's call came through right then. "What's wrong, Sarah? Is something wrong? You always said you wouldn't marry anyone but David." I understood Grandpa George's question. In everyone's eyes, David and I were childhood sweethearts with deep affection since we were young. The first time we met, I was 6, and David and his brother Robert came to my home with Mr. and Mrs. G to visit. David was so handsome that day. To my 6-year-old eyes, he looked like a prince from a fairy tale. From that day on, I became David's shadow, following him everywhere. Elementary school, middle school, high school, we were never separated. Even both sets of parents joked about arranging a marriage for us. When I was 18, David confessed his love to me under a sky full of fireworks. "Sarah, I love you. I will always be good to you. I will protect you and bring you joy and happiness always." That day, the fireworks reflected in the boy's eyes, and his eyes were even brighter than the sky full of fireworks. Not to mention Grandpa George, even I didn't expect that this David would pretend to be a vegetable, and the reason for this lie was for another woman. Although I didn't say anything, Grandpa George on the other end of the phone seemed to sense my emotions. After a moment of silence, he spoke softly. "Anyway, we're forming a family alliance with the G family. David or Robert, it's the same. As long as you've thought it through, Grandpa will support you. Grandpa will send a car to pick you up the day after tomorrow. Don't worry." After the call ended, I remained in the position I was in, holding the phone, without moving until the sky outside the window began to lighten. Only then did I finally snap out of it and get up to return to David's bedroom. David lay quietly on the bed, exactly the same as he had been for the past month, just silently sleeping, his breathing so shallow it was barely audible. If it weren't for what happened last night still vivid in my mind, I would almost believe it was just a dream. Thinking this, I turned and walked to the medical cabinet nearby and took out a set of acupuncture needles from inside. Naguan point. Feng Chi point. Zhongwan point. When the fourth needle landed on the Guanyuan point, David on the bed suddenly opened his eyes and began to gasp for air. Sarah! You! I slightly curved my lips and didn't answer. Having grown up with David, I naturally knew he had a fear of needles. Michelle rushed into the room at this moment. Seeing David awake, she looked surprised. Miss Sarah! What are you doing? I slowly put away the acupuncture needles and spoke softly. I'm giving him acupuncture treatment. See, he's awake, isn't he? Michelle froze, looked at David with a hint of heartache, then turned back to me. Didn't I tell you? I'm not specialized in traditional Chinese medicine, and you know nothing about treatment. Do you know what could happen if you pierce the wrong spot? I put the acupuncture needles back in the cabinet and looked up at the indignant Michelle. But he's awake now, isn't he? Michelle was momentarily stunned by my words, and the entire room fell into a brief silence. After David became a vegetable, I consulted many famous doctors. When I heard acupuncture could stimulate acupoints, I wanted to try it, but Michelle kept finding various reasons to delay it. This is how it was dragged out until now. Looking back, those reasons and excuses were clearly just pretexts Michelle made up. Just then, a hoarse male voice sounded in my ear. Sarah, come here, let me see you. I followed the sound and looked at David on the hospital bed. At this moment, he was looking at me with bloodshot eyes, sitting up and opening his arms to me, his eyes holding the tenderness I had been immersed in for 7 years. My nose suddenly stung, and large tears fell, not for him, but for myself all these years. What happened last night with David and Michelle was still vivid, their conversation still echoed in my ears. How could he pretend to be so unaffected and open his arms to me now? Seeing that I didn't move, David's voice softly called out again. What's wrong, Sarah? Come here. Thinking that the car Grandpa George sent to pick me up would arrive tomorrow, and not wanting to cause any trouble before then, I took step after step and walked to the bedside. David held my hand, gently stroking it, his tone full of tenderness. You've worked so hard during this time. Even though I couldn't move, I could hear everything you said to me every day. Sarah, how lucky I am to be with you. Before I could speak, Michelle eagerly cut in, seemingly not wanting to see the interaction between David and me. Dave, you just woke up. You still need to rest and shouldn't get too emotional. Miss Sarah, you shouldn't disturb Dave either. You can talk later. All right, I'll contact the hospital to send an ambulance. It's best to get a thorough checkup. If this were in the past, I would only think Michelle was a diligent and responsible doctor, but now, I could clearly see the poorly concealed dissatisfaction and malice in her eyes. I ignored Michelle and looked at David in front of me. How about we get checkups at a few different hospitals? That way, I can be more at ease. Hearing me say this, a trace of panic flashed across both David's and Michelle's faces simultaneously. David stammered as he refused my suggestion. No need. G-Corp Hospital is under our own group. They definitely know my condition best. There's no need to make it so complicated. I sneered inwardly. No need? Are they afraid of being exposed? Michelle also hurriedly interrupted me. All right, the ambulance will be here soon. Let's pack quickly so we don't waste time. Dave's health can't wait. After a few checkups at the hospital, the doctor's words were just as I expected, nothing more than perfunctory remarks about a medical miracle. Back in David's private room, Michelle continued to linger. Dave, you just woke up. Although the test results are fine, you should still stay in the hospital for 1 night. Michelle hadn't finished speaking when I looked at David's face and interrupted her. Dave, you have no idea how I've been doing since you fell unconscious. Now that you're finally awake, we should put our wedding back on the agenda, shouldn't we? After all, you know my parents are gone, and Grandpa George is getting old. I don't want to delay any longer. The moment I finished speaking, Michelle, who had been smiling moments before, instantly looked grim. David naturally didn't miss Michelle's change in expression. Sarah, I just woke up. Let's talk about these things later. Don't worry, we're definitely getting married. You should go back and rest first. You've been tired lately. I'm fine here at the hospital, and there are doctors and nurses. Don't worry, go home and get some good rest. Hearing David's words, Michelle's expression improved. She even gave David a sidelong glance. I couldn't be bothered to watch their interaction anymore. I nodded and stood up. Okay, I'll go back and tell Grandpa George the good news. He's been so worried while you were unconscious. Walking out of the hospital doors, looking at the dazzling sunlight in the sky, I suddenly felt a little lost. Through the blurry vision, I seemed to see a shy teenager in a high school uniform running towards me. Sir, today was so annoying, the teacher kept us late again. Let's go, this young master will take you home. My nose suddenly stung, and tears almost fell. The boy I loved, at some point, had suddenly become rotten. I sat on the bench outside the hospital for a long time until dusk fell and the streetlights cast a long shadow of my figure. Just then, my phone's message tone rang. It was from Michelle. There wasn't a single word, just a video that was half an hour long. In the video, David was completely out of control. Scattered on the stark white hospital bed were various small items belonging to them both. I had never seen David so out of control. In our 7 years together, David had always been gentle with me. Even in bed, he was careful, afraid of hurting me. It turned out he wasn't naturally restrained. The person who ignited his passion was never me. Like a masochist, I stared intently at the video, wanting to see the David I had never known. I don't know how long I watched. A passerby walked up to me. Miss, are you okay? Only then did I realize that, as the video played on, I had been crying harder and harder. And now, I was trembling all over from crying, my fingers holding the phone shaking uncontrollably. What made me feel most desperate was that while watching this video, I discovered that I still loved David. He wasn't an object to be thrown away when broken. He wasn't just a friend you could simply cut ties with. David was a person, a living person, my fiancé of 7 years, whom I had known for 19 years. Loving him had become an instinct deeply embedded in my bones during those 7 years. 19 years of day and night companionship, he was like a towering tree standing in my life. I couldn't let go. I really couldn't. Thinking this, I took a deep breath, wiped away my tears fiercely, and decided to give David one more chance. I dialed David's number. David, are you resting? Can I come to the hospital to see you? I have something very important I want to. David's voice was indescribably hoarse, as if he was suppressing something. Sir, I'm a little tired. Let's talk about whatever it is tomorrow. MMM. A muffled groan sounded, and the call was disconnected, leaving only the mechanical beep, beep sound. We were both adults. I naturally knew what his suppressed sounds meant. After sitting on the bench for a while, I slowly got up and left the hospital. The next morning, just as I got up, Michelle walked straight into my room. She looked at me with a smug expression, took something resembling a sachet from her waist, and poured the grayish-white powder all over my bed. Did you enjoy the video last night? This is my punishment for you challenging me. Stop pretending. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? You probably knew David was faking being sick long ago, didn't you? Sarah, do you know what David says about you in front of me? He says you're bland and tasteless, not worth having but a pity to throw away. And I'm the one who can truly ignite his passion and desire. If it weren't for your parents dying in an accident a year ago, do you think he would have agreed to marry you? But so what? To avoid marrying you, he even faked being sick. Do you really think you can beat me? Grandpa George was coming to pick me up today, so I couldn't be bothered to waste words with her. I pulled back the covers and wanted to get out of bed. But Michelle blocked my way. Do you think it's just you? Even your parents, after they died, couldn't rest in peace. They could only become my amulet made from ashes. I suddenly raised my head, remembering the powder Michelle had just poured onto my bed. My voice trembled uncontrollably. What did you say? Michelle smirked, seemingly satisfied with my reaction. After your parents died, you were half dead yourself. Dave personally handled their funeral arrangements. A mystic/spiritual advisor said my fortune wasn't good in the past few years, and since your parents died unexpectedly and couldn't find peace, an amulet made from ashes made from their remains could help me ward off bad luck. It seems the mystic was right. In the years since your parents died, wearing this amulet, my luck has improved by more than just a little. My heart suddenly pounded faster, and a ball of anger seemed to explode in my chest. David. How could he? How dare he? I couldn't hold back anymore and slapped Michelle hard across the face. Michelle covered her face, about to curse, when David's surprised cry suddenly erupted. Sarah! What are you doing? Hearing that voice, the smug look on Michelle's face turned into a look of grievance. Sarah, I just came up to wake you up. Why are you so angry? I know you're upset about my relationship with Dave, but I'm just his private doctor. Didn't you ask me to take care of him for the past month? If you're really unhappy, I'll leave. Why did you have to hit me? David stared menacingly at Michelle's swollen cheek, then turned and roared at me. Sarah, what on earth are you doing? How could you be so vicious? She's my doctor. She saved my life. I ignored his accusations and stared directly at him. I'm asking you, where are my parents' ashes? David froze, seemingly not knowing why I was asking this. Of course they're buried in the cemetery. Why are you asking? Michelle's face changed, and she grabbed David's hand. Dave, I feel dizzy. I probably haven't rested well lately. Help me go downstairs. David looked like he wanted to say something, his lips fumbling for a moment, but ultimately, he helped Michelle leave first. Just then, Grandpa George's message arrived on my phone. The car is here. I didn't take anything with me, only my ID and bank card. Passing the guest bedroom, I looked at the door for a long time. In the end, I didn't say anything and walked straight out of the house. David, Michelle, you will receive my grand gift, but not now. After getting into the car Grandpa George sent, I forwarded the video Michelle sent me last night to David's secretary. After doing this, I sent David one last message. Let's break up, David. After doing these two things, I broke the SIM card in half and threw it out the window, then adjusted to a comfortable position and leaned back in the seat to rest. Meanwhile, David, who was still at the house, received this text message. After confirming that Sarah was no longer in the house, David called Sarah repeatedly, but no one answered. David's emotions collapsed. David grabbed the vase on the table and smashed it on the floor, his chest heaving violently with emotion. Michelle draped her arm around his, comforting him softly. This Sarah is too willful. You've been together for so many years, and she's still playing hard to get. It's really too childish. Dave, it seems Sarah is still angry with you. But it's also my fault. If I hadn't come back with you today, it would have been fine. But I didn't expect her to have such a bad temper and directly hit me just now. It seems you've had a tough time these years too. It's okay, Dave. I'll explain everything to her properly when she comes back. But you don't have to worry too much. Her parents are gone, and the marriage to strengthen family ties between the Chiao and Ji families was her parents' last wish. She can't possibly break up with you. David didn't say a word. His eyes fixed on the text message on his phone. Let's break up, David. Those 5 short words burned his eyes. 19 years. He had known Sarah for 19 years. He was undoubtedly the person in the world who understood Sarah best. Sarah's parents had raised her exceptionally well, so she never resorted to such tactics to get angry with him. Even now, David clearly remembered the day they got together. 18-year-old Sarah tilted her head to look at him, her words playful but firm. David, if one day you stop loving me, don't lie to me. You must tell me honestly. I won't cling to you. But as long as we still love each other, I will never use breaking up to threaten you. Sarah kept her word. In their 7 years together, even when they argued fiercely, Sarah had never mentioned breaking up. Now, recalling Sarah's words, David felt a chill run down his spine. Sarah's love, like her, was always open and direct. She disdained any games of playing hard to get. Seeing that David remained silent, Michelle felt a little flustered. Dave, you haven't actually been fooled by Sarah's trick, have you? Well, you're a man, it's normal you don't understand these female tactics. I've seen plenty of women like her, they just want to control you with these methods. You must not fall for it. Hearing Michelle still talking like this, David felt an inexplicable sense of revulsion. Sarah is my girlfriend. This is between us. It has nothing to do with you. Now that I'm better, you don't need to stay at my house anymore. You can go back. Michelle was startled by David's cold voice and quickly tried to explain. I was just a little worried about Sarah, Dave, don't misunderstand. Don't be anxious. Sarah is just unhappy right now. She misunderstood our relationship. Women, you know, they can be petty. Her parents are dead, where can an unwanted orphan go? David couldn't stand it anymore. He suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with malice, staring at the woman in front of him. She still has Grandpa George. She still has the entire G family behind her. She is not an orphan. As for whether our relationship is a misunderstanding, don't you know better than I do? Michelle, while I'm still talking to you nicely, get out. David waved his hand, signaling her to leave quickly. Michelle wanted to say more, but seeing David's dark expression, she finally didn't speak again and left, looking back repeatedly. Not long after Michelle left, the secretary's call came through to David's phone. Mr. G, are you at the house? Miss Sarah just sent me something. After seeing the video the secretary sent him, David's back teeth ground together. Michelle! How dare she? How dare she? David had always known that Michelle loved him. During the long, youthful years of loving Sarah, Michelle had loved him just as much. Michelle was the granddaughter of the G family's family doctor. She had grown up entering and leaving the G estate with Grandpa Michael. They had known each other since childhood. After Grandpa Michael passed away, Michelle inherited his profession and naturally became the G family's family doctor. David wasn't unaware of Michelle's feelings for him, but at that time, his heart and mind were filled only with Sarah. But Michelle's love was persistent and obsessive. Even after he and Sarah were together, she kept looking for opportunities to interfere in their relationship. 2 years ago, Michelle walked into his office, taking off her clothes with a look of determination in her eyes. I love you. I will never destroy your relationship with Sarah. I just ask you, give me a chance. I just want to stay by your side. Don't worry, I will never let Sarah know about my existence. That time, David couldn't control himself, and so began the next 2 years. But now, Michelle had broken her promise. She actually sent Sarah a video like that. Thinking this, David's face was terrifyingly grim. He spoke menacingly to the secretary on the phone. Investigate. Find out everything that has happened during this time and tell me every single detail. After hanging up the phone, David gripped his phone tightly, his knuckles white from the force. Only at this moment did David suddenly realize with despair that all these years, it had been Sarah who was accommodating him, who was stepping into his life. But what about him? If Sarah didn't answer his calls, he wouldn't be able to find her. Thinking this, David couldn't sit still anymore. He grabbed his jacket and ran out. He had to go to the Chiao family's home. He had to find her. Standing outside the gates of the G estate, looking at the lights on inside, David felt a wave of fear. He was afraid that Sarah wasn't inside. That would mean he had lost the only place where he could get any news of her. But he couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't just sit at home and wait. He stood outside the villa gates and shouted, Sarah! Sarah! I've come to take you home, Sarah. I know I was wrong. Please, please let me in. Just let me apologize to her in person. Grandpa George stared directly at the man in front of him, whose face was full of remorse, but there was no pity in his heart. When Sarah came home today, Grandpa George had already learned what had happened. His Chiao family's granddaughter. Even without her parents, she couldn't be bullied by just anyone. What right do you have to ask me? If it weren't for your childhood bond, do you think your G family is worthy of my Chiao family? A man who gets carried away and messes around behind her back after all this time, what's there to apologize for? Grandpa George's voice paused, and when he spoke again, it was with a hint of a sob. Do you have any idea how she's lived this past year? A year ago, her parents were gone, and you were the person she trusted most in this world. But what about you? Is this how you betray her? Can't you see the dense network of scars on her? Don't you know how bad her mental state is? You actually pretended to be a vegetable and lied to her. You were trying to send her to her death. Lying to her wasn't enough, you drugged her with sleeping pills and cheated on her right under her nose. David, you are an animal. After saying this, Grandpa George didn't look at David again and walked straight back into the house. David stood frozen on the spot, Grandpa George's words echoing in his ears. Grandpa George was right. He was an animal. It was all his fault. In this 7-year relationship, he had taken advantage of Sarah's love to hurt her. He had strayed, he had betrayed her. He naively thought she would never leave him. She should have been brilliant, but she stayed by his side willingly. But now, she was gone, without giving him any chance to make amends. The moment he confirmed this result, David finally couldn't help but burst into tears. The next day, David, smelling of alcohol, found Michelle accompanied by his secretary. The moment she saw David, Michelle's face lit up with joy. Dave. But before she could finish speaking, David grabbed her hair fiercely, cutting off her words. Michelle had never seen David like this, like a devil from hell. She was finally scared. Dave, what's wrong, Dave? It's Michelle. Don't be like this, I'm scared. David's face was ashen, his grip on Michelle's hair tightened, and his voice was cold as a devil's. You're scared? Michelle, you even dared to carry the ashes of the dead as an amulet made from ashes, and you still know fear? Michelle's expression froze, and she immediately wanted to argue. David didn't give her the chance, fiercely throwing her to the ground. Stop acting in front of me. I already had someone search Sarah's room thoroughly. There was an amulet on her bed, and the amulet is clearly something you've been carrying. I immediately had someone send what was inside for testing, and it turned out to be her parents' ashes. Michelle, have you always been such a vicious and terrifying woman? If I hadn't had someone investigate, I would have been kept in the dark by you. With the evidence right in front of her, Michelle knew she couldn't argue and could only speak through tears. I didn't mean to, Dave. I've had a terrible time these past few years. My family went bankrupt, my grandpa passed away. A mystic/spiritual advisor said I was plagued by bad luck and needed this amulet to ward off evil energy. David didn't want to listen to her excuses anymore and kicked her fiercely. Shut up. Everything you do has a reason, an excuse. What about Sarah? Sarah has never hurt anyone. Why does she have to suffer all this? David suddenly remembered the surveillance footage from the hospital entrance the secretary had retrieved this morning. The video showed the hospital entrance, on a long bench, his Sarah sitting there all alone, staring blankly at her phone, crying harder and harder, her shoulders even trembling. After the passerby walked up to her, her face was pale, and she was completely distraught. She had also made a call, and only stumbled away with a look of despair after the call was disconnected. That call was clearly to him. At that moment, Sarah had given him one last chance, but he was being seduced by Michelle, lost in pleasure in bed. He suddenly turned around and kicked Michelle again, fiercely. You deliberately sent Sarah that video, you deliberately let her know about our relationship. Didn't you just want to drive her away? Michelle, your good days are over. As soon as David finished speaking, several security guards/men in black suits emerged from behind him, clapped a hand over Michelle's mouth, and dragged her into a car. Everything happened so fast that Michelle didn't even have time to cry for help before she was shoved into the car, only able to make trembling whimpering sounds. David gave his secretary a look. The secretary walked over to the men and spoke softly. Give her a lesson. Just don't kill her. I knew nothing of the chaos on David's end. As for me, I was currently getting to know Robert under Grandpa George's arrangement. I must say, compared to David's gentleness, Robert exuded a cool, distant aura. Only occasionally, during our time together, he would stare at me blankly, sometimes even with red-rimmed eyes. My wedding to Robert was set for a month later. To avoid David's harassment and to spend more time with Robert, I had been staying mostly at Robert's house/the house with the garden during this period. Sometimes, looking at Robert's profile, I would think that even though he was a bit quiet, if life could continue like this, it seemed quite nice. Of course, that was if David didn't show up to bother me. Just today, David, who hadn't appeared for half a month, had somehow found my contact information and started sending me messages non-stop. "Sir, where are you? Can I come see you? Please let me explain in person. Sir, this time I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please answer my call, okay? Sir, they say you're going to marry my brother. Why? Didn't you like me? I've already made things clear with Michelle. I won't do anything that hurts you again, okay? Sir, please say something to me." Messages came one after another. I was so annoyed that I just blocked his number. I thought the world would finally be quiet. But the next morning, returning from my run, I saw a familiar figure outside the house with the garden. The moment he saw me, he eagerly rushed over. "Sir, I've come to take you home." "David, just go. I have nothing to say to you." I turned to walk back into the house, but David grabbed my wrist. "I'm not leaving unless you come with me. You're my fiancé, we're supposed to get married." I stopped. "Go back with you to do what? To watch you and Michelle continue to sneak around next door to me? To keep watching you sweat all over her? Or are you going to kill me this time and use my ashes to make another amulet made from ashes for her?" David's shoulders stiffened. He quickly denied it. "No, it's not that. It wasn't me who gave her uncle and auntie's ashes. She bribed someone at the funeral home." I scoffed. "So what? Ignorance is bliss? You didn't know, so I can forgive you and go home with you and continue to marry you and be your wife? David, do you think I'm especially easy to bully? You take advantage of the fact that I like you, that I can't leave you, so you bully me without restraint. But David, I don't like you anymore." David's face instantly turned deathly pale, his lips fumbling for a long time before he couldn't say another word. Large tears streamed down my face. "David, you killed my parents, and how dare you think I would go back with you?" My tears dripped onto David's hand. He flinched as if burned. "No, sir, listen to me. I love you. We've known each other for so many years, you know me. I love you, I've always loved you. Michelle seduced me, it was all her. I didn't want to listen anymore. Enough. David, every single word you say now makes me feel disgusted. You didn't know, it wasn't intentional. Can those words cancel out the harm I've suffered? What right do you have to stand here begging for my forgiveness?" David's eyes were red-rimmed with tears. After a long silence, he spoke softly. "I'm sorry." His 3 words made me laugh. "Sorry? If you're really sorry, then die. If you die, I'll forgive you." David looked up in disbelief. "Sir, do you really hate me that much?" I turned and walked straight into the garden, not saying another word to him. How could I not hate him? My parents couldn't even rest in peace after they died. I wished I could slice him into 1,000 pieces, wished I could send him to the 18th level of hell. As soon as I entered the yard, I saw Robert standing there. Judging by his expression, he must have heard what David and I said. Robert's face was somewhat grim, his handsome brows tightly furrowed. I reached out and smoothed his furrowed brow. "It's someone unimportant. Don't be upset." Hearing my words, Robert's tense shoulders suddenly relaxed, and he pulled me into a hug, holding me tightly for a long time without speaking. For some reason, I didn't see David again until the wedding. The wedding arrived as scheduled, everything designed by Robert and me, the venue filled with flowers, like a dream. We walked step by step towards the officiant on the stage, amidst the blessings of a hall full of guests. After exchanging rings, the officiant looked at us kindly. "Do you promise to cherish each other and live together in holy matrimony?" Robert and I hadn't even spoken when the commotion outside the door attracted everyone's attention. "Murder! Murder! Help! Somebody!" Hearing the noise, everyone stood up and looked towards the door. Robert and I exchanged glances and quickly walked outside as well. The people outside were none other than Michelle and David, who had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. David was gripping a dagger/knife tightly in his hand, stabbing Michelle repeatedly. Michelle had already fallen into a pool of blood, her condition unknown. David, however, seemed to have lost his mind, his eyes unfocused, repeating the motion in his hand mechanically. "You be *tch, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. It's all you, if it weren't for you, how would I have fallen to this state? You be *tch. Go to hell, go to hell. If you die, Sarah won't be angry with me anymore." David's appearance was too manic, and he had a dagger/knife in his hand, so for a moment, no one dared to step forward to stop him. After stabbing Michelle countless times, David finally stopped, and his eyes regained focus. With a clang, he threw the dagger/knife onto the ground. A strange smile on his face, he stood up and walked towards me step by step. "Sir, this be *tch is dead. Don't be angry anymore. Didn't we say we'd always be together? Didn't you say you'd wait for me? Let's go inside and get married. We'll be together forever." His face was covered in splashed blood, and blood dripped from his clothes, making him look terrifying. I was scared by his appearance and unconsciously took a step back. Seeing my movement, David's smile disappeared, and he looked at me viciously. "Sir, are you avoiding me? Are you afraid of me? How can you be afraid of me? Didn't you say you love me? It's all right, sir. I forgive you. Come to my side." Seeing David's state was not right, Robert shielded me behind him and signaled to the security guards/men in black suits nearby. The security guards/men in black suits swarmed forward, pinned David to the ground, and held him down firmly. David was still struggling desperately, shouting and yelling. "Sarah! How dare you leave me like this? I can give you anything you want. How dare you betray me? And you, Robert! I'm your own brother, and you're stealing my woman. You were watching her all along, weren't you? You always wanted to snatch her away from me, didn't you? I'll kill you! Robert, I'll kill you!" Robert signaled to the security guards/men in black suits, who dragged David away like garbage. After the situation was dealt with, Robert saw me still frozen in place and carefully took my hand. "Don't mind him. He's crazy, just talking nonsense. But he was right about one thing. I was indeed watching you all along." A week later, David was taken into police custody for intentional homicide, awaiting sentencing. Robert and I boarded a plane for our honeymoon. Half asleep, I seemed to hear Robert's voice. "When I was 8, I met a 6-year-old girl. I thought at the time, I wish she could come home with me. Thankfully, although the process wasn't perfect, the outcome is good. Sir, I love you, far deeper and longer than you know." "Thank you, sir." I wanted to answer Robert, but I was too sleepy. I could only respond silently in my heart. "I'm the one who should thank you, Robert."